Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
I am Adam.
And I'm Tom.
And together we are Atomic Business Coaching,
where our stories are your solutions.
Hey, listen, thanks so much for tuning into this episode. For those of you who have not heard before, like we just said, I'm Adam and
I'm Tom.
And together we run a company called Atomic Business Coaching, where we help entrepreneurs to 10x their business while simultaneously working less. Hopefully you get some good enjoyment out of our episodes, some knowledge, some takeaways. You can follow us on Instagram at Atomic Business Coaching. We've published 2 books now, so you can get those directly on Amazon. There'll be a link for those in our website, which is atomicbusinesscoaching.com. But yeah, we really help small business owners who've finally realized a level of success to then catapult that into a difference from being self-employed to being a business owner. And that's a really big key thing to realize when you have this success is, am I a business owner or am I just self-employed and I have a really high paying job? Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about what Tom and I have been going through over the last week. So why don't you tee it up there, Tom?
Yeah. So Adam and I have been working very diligently on our business plan. And, it's so important that you take the time to put this business into a plan of action. And, it's one of those things, just understanding this is one of the first experiences that I'm having, working with a partner and putting a business plan together. And it's a lot of fun, but it's also it's a lot of pain too. I have to say, it's not comfortable. It really requires a lot of thought. And this whole experience has been such an amazing opportunity to really explore what it is that Adam and I really want to do with the business, what we want to be able to offer to you and be able to really guide people to find their direction. So we are finding ours through defining what we're going to do for you. So it's a lot of fun. But it is painstaking. It is definitely uncomfortable. And because it's new for me in this way, I think that's one of the things that I've had to really overcome is the discomfort and just be a little bit more comfortable with everything.
Yep. Yeah, it's not really a fun process. It's not fun when you start. It's not fun when you're doing. It's not fun when you're finished, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, this is a necessary evil of actually being a business owner. And, I've been in business for 23 years in a variety of different things. Actually, some of those years I was just a regular employee and some of them I was a business owner. But the key to this is every year I've always done a business plan. I was very lucky early on in my career that someone said, hey, you got to set a business plan for yourself, even if you don't own a business. And what that means is you're clearly lining out like, hey, what am I trying to accomplish? Why am I doing this work? Whether you're an employee or you're owning a business. Now, as I said before, owning a business, it's critical. It's a requirement. So what you're really doing in this phase is saying, hey, here's what we'd like to accomplish. And there's multiple ways to go about doing this. Some people set a numerical goal. Here's, I want to hit 10 million this year. And then they start reverse engineering that. Other people say, hey, I want to breach into this marketplace. And here's how we're going to do that. Some will just say, we want to maintain our business and just grow 20% year over year and continue to do the same thing. So the keys to this is really, especially when you have a partner, to have a common ground, the common understanding of what are we trying to accomplish. Now, if you don't have a partner and you're working on your own, you most likely have some people that are working with you. Very rarely is someone getting to a level of success completely on their own. And you may have freelancers, you may have vendors you're using, and you have to be able to communicate. This is what our mission is for the next year. This is what we're trying to accomplish. So in that, I'm at a stage now where every December for my other businesses, I take 3 days, 3 full days, 12-hour days, 36 hours to build my business plan. That's with me, my team. I communicate it out to the people that need to know that after that. So we can hit the ground running in January, knowing exactly where our targets are, how we're going to accomplish these things, what the possibilities are, what the obstacles are, what systems and processes we need to add in, and then how we're going to do it. We also line up metrics on here's how we're going to measure if we're a success or a failure. But that is coming from a standpoint of I'm more established. What I highly recommend business owners in the beginning, especially if you've never done this before, is you want to do this on a quarterly basis, right? Every 90 days, you want to rewrite your business plan. Now, if you're doing it every 90 days, you don't need 3 full days to do this. The first one you will. And the reason why is, Tom, why don't you explain some of the things we've actually gone through, the actual process that you and I over the last week have gone through?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that, to talk about what's going to generate the revenue, what's going to be the machine, what are going to be the parts of that machine. And, that was one of the things that I learned from you is really how to look at what is the main thing that we're trying to achieve? What's the main way that we're trying to create a revenue source that's a recurring source, that's an opportunity for us to sustain the business? And, looking at it as what's going to be the machine of the operation, and putting the parts, what are all the parts that make up that machine? And, and in some ways, we're creating the machine and we're inventing the machine. So we have to figure out what all the parts are that are going to make that machine run optimally. And I think for me, that's been one of the biggest takeaways, is learning how to construct the machine, but we also have to construct the parts that make up the machine. And it's like we're doing a full manufacturing of a car here. Like I feel like we're, Henry Ford on the assembly line, trying to, thinking about the concept of creating cars and mass producing those cars, and what is it going to take all along the way. And, you got to put this on, you got to put that on. And it's really been an interesting piece because, we're talking about the importance of our business being sustainable, and we want clients to work with us in our programs and do all of that. But there's so many pieces that make that up. And the different parts has been really where we've started to focus our strategy. Where is it branding? Where is it marketing? Where is it sales? Where is it operations? Where are the systems coming in? Right? And all of those pieces are parts of creating the machine. And then we've also talked about what's the next machine that we're really striving for, to reinvest the money from the first machine to build the second machine. And that's been such an interesting process for me to go through, right? Because I've done this from a corporate standpoint. I've done the strategic planning for a non-for-profit organization. I've done this, in my C-suite position for several years now. And it's interesting when you kind of have this same machine that's running, but now you're looking for new parts to make the machine run optimally. And so it's a little bit different being on this side of the creation of the machine and putting all the parts together. But we've already started that, right? The last year that we've been working together, we've created a lot of the parts, but now we're looking at how all of those parts play together to build that ultimate machine, which is going to be our main revenue generator.
Yeah, I like that analogy of a car. So, when we're talking about that machine, whatever your product or service is that you're going to sell, that's the machine, right? So that's the thing that you have to build and put these parts together. And when Tom is talking about parts, you can think of them as different departments or different processes or systems or things of that nature. So in order to sell your machine, right, and have it to be well-oiled, functional, efficient, and operating at its full potential, you need these different parts. The simple ones are, you need branding first, you need marketing, you need sales, and then you have to have someone actually produce the thing. The secondary piece of the parts are customer service and your operations department. What's your accounting and finance look like? What is your billing going to be done? What kind of HR systems do you have in? So all these parts come into play, and then each one of those parts or departments break down further. Each thing you're going to need a different aspect to make sure it runs. This is why it takes 3 days. When you're talking about customer service, it can't just be like, oh, we're going to serve our customers. No. You have to have the understanding of what's your CRM, what's your data gathering, how are you going to have follow-up, how are you going to nurture the clients and maintain them? Are you going to do, if you have a service, some kind of an annual review? How do you make sure that payments are going through seamlessly and frictionlessly for those people? So that could be in your customer service department. And that's just one of those departments. So the key is as you figure out, here's my machine, here's what I'm going to do, then you can look into, here are the parts I'm going to need. And then with each part, you break that down even further of, okay, what do we need to add? What do we need to utilize? What do we need to get rid of to make sure the machine works best?
100%. And you're bringing up such an important point that what you have to consider too are all the players that are involved, right? We talk about all these departments being part of the machine. And if you're really going to have that part optimized and working the best that it can, you have to have the right people, and you have to recognize that you're going to have to create that. And that's what really goes into the next phase of this, is what the budgeting around all of this, right? You got to look at, how to, all right, so we've built this machine. We have all these parts. We need all these people, all these systems and all that. All right, well, what's that going to cost us now? And, when you start to look at it from that standpoint, you really can't do a budget until you have the core template of what your business operation is going to be. And if you're a business that's struggling and you don't understand why your expenses are exceeding your revenue, it's probably because you didn't sit down and put this plan in place and execute it from that standpoint of understanding the operations of a machine, understanding what it's going to take to earn the revenue that you're going to earn. Right? We always talk about, we want to earn obviously more than we're spending, but there's a whole method to that. And the business plan becomes such a foundational part of that whole budgeting experience. So it's really incredible to see the way we're doing this and how we're thinking about it, and how we're also being very conscious about what we as the business owners want to take from the business in the end to make this worth. Like, why are we doing this? We're doing this to make money. We're doing this to help people. But you're also running a business to, and everybody's in that service. Everybody owns a business is in some kind of service to people. Whether you're selling a product, you're selling a service, you're in service to other people. But the goal is that you want to make some money. And I was working with one of our clients this morning, and he's a very good, well-respected entrepreneur. He's got a bunch of different businesses. And I said to him, why are you frustrated here? What is causing your frustration this morning? He's like, I'm just tired. I said, well, what are you taking from this business? He says, right now I'm reinvesting everything and I'm not taking anything out. But again, he's in need of a business plan. He needs to look at, okay, I'm building this and I'm going to take this from this so that I can feel good about myself, because I'm learning through this whole process too, the importance of what it's going to take to run our business and how that's going to impact my life and how that's going to impact my harmony and how that's going to impact the family. And, Adam and I are so committed to living harmony and making the time for our families, for our kids, for ourselves. And having a business plan is also going to help you to improve the life aspects, because you're going to understand what's needed. And it's something that you could discuss with your family, with your partner, with your spouse, and sit down and say, here's what the plan is, and here's what we're doing as business owners. And this is this is the expectation that we have to have. And then we can create the harmony and everything else around it. And that's one of the things that I've really seen, oh my goodness, this really opens up a whole other can of worms of what the sacrifice and what the effort's going to really be as the business owner and the impact it'll have on our lives.
Yeah, those expectations have to be set right from the jump of building your plan, whether you're doing it on your own or with a business partner.
Mm-hmm.
And what we mean by that is, like Tom and I, we're in growth mode, and we've talked about this many times, the difference between growth and scale. For those of you who haven't listened before, the main thing about growth is you're increasing your top line revenue by increasing your resources. Okay. So that means you're spending more money on either people or services or products or whatever else you are, marketing, to increase that top line revenue. So we're in growth mode. So when we have to have an understanding in the beginning is, what do we have to take out of this business and a bare minimum to sustain our lives? And Tom and I are committed to not really profiting on this. We'll have our bills paid and things of that nature. But right now we're going to take every dollar and reinvest it, like that client of ours that Tom was talking about. But from that standpoint, you have to make sure before you do that you figured out, this is actually what I need. You can't say you need X amount of money every single month to come out to sustain your life, and then that gets delivered and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I actually needed Y. That's going to put pressure on you. You're going to deviate from your plan. You're going to sell from desperation. Things won't be good. So once you figure that out and you're like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. And you can go the other way. You could say, look, I want to profit X amount of dollars and take this out from me, myself as the business owner. So, you can go either way you want to, but for the stage that we're at, and if you're in the other stage of scaling your business, and that's when you're not adding resources and you're trying to increase your top line revenue. So either stage that you're at, once you figure out, okay, I have my machine, I have my parts, here's what I need. Each of those parts, you now have to figure out what are the actions. So what is every department actually going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have clearly defined roles and responsibilities for each of those departments and what they're going to do on a daily basis. And we've talked about standard operating procedures before. Doesn't need to be as detailed as that, but they need to have a basic outline of, okay, our production team, this is how you're going to produce our product or our service. You're going to do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. The reason you want to know that is what Tom said before, is that's how you can, as the business owner, start to understand where your monetary resources are going to go, where your budget's going to be applied to. So without really understanding those actions of what needs to take place, it's hard to understand how much it's going to cost. And I've seen way too many times that people are like, hey, I understand how much money I want to make. I understand, the different departments that I need, but they never really think about the actions. Now, the flip side of the actions is it's not just money, it's time.
Right.
Okay. Tom and I were in a meeting for another business he and I own last night, and we were talking about the time, the commitment of some of our staff. And, one of our other executive team members was talking about how, they'll get it done this time and this time. And we've asked them, as they're going through this test of a new product, to really time out the employees' work. Because we have to understand, are they going to spend 5 hours doing this? Or are they going to spend 8 hours doing this per day? If you don't plan for the right amount of time and you have an expectation for something to be produced, it will never get done. You'll be frustrated. The employee will be frustrated. The client will be frustrated. So when you plan those actions out, it's very important to understand from both a time and money standpoint of what's it going to cost you, the company, and your employees to accomplish this thing. So that's one of the keys, I would say, as you do this.
Yeah. And talking about action, that's the other thing that I've learned through this process. It's been a little uncomfortable. You and I are such people of action, right? You and I take action on so many different things. And it's really hard for us to sometimes sit back and just make the plan because we want to get to the action. And I think a lot of business owners, a lot of solopreneurs, especially the people we work with, everybody is mostly in action mode. And it's really hard to step back and to take that moment to say, okay, we've got to plan this out. And yes, you have to dedicate the 3 days to it. You've got to really look at it. And, if you're not sure what to do, reach out to us. There's, we could definitely talk to you. We could give you some templates. We can give you a method that you can follow to really make this business plan very effective and give you some insight into how to do this. Because I think when people hear, I got to do a business plan, it's like, oh, what is that? So many people don't know what to do. And there's such a variety of ways of doing business plans. Some people do it as a strategic planning. Some people call it a business plan. There's so many different ways to do it. But I want people to remember that planning and making your business plan is an action. It may not be the action that you're ready to do and that you want to be out there doing, but it's one of those things where you have to remember that is taking action in your business. It's such an important action. And it's more of a brain exercise and a mind exercise to really think through everything. So it's a thinking action as opposed to a physical action or a doing action that you're doing every single day. But just remember that, because I've kind of gone back and forth, I wish we could just take action on this. Let's just do this already. And it's been a little frustrating, but I have to recognize that I am taking action and I am doing something that is critical, because if you do this plan, I can already see it. The productivity levels, the whole vision of the company for the next year and where we're headed and what we're going to do it's just becoming so much more apparent. And the picture is, like in that movie where they add Pleasantville, right? Where you see the world in black and white. And then all of a sudden you do something different and you start to see the world in color. It really is. That's been the experience of this. Is we started out very black and white, but now we're adding color to this plan. And now I can see this beautiful picture that's really unfolding. So again, it's action that's leading to creation, that's leading to something that's going to be awesome. And I'm very excited about what we're going to be able to do this year and all the plans we have that we'll share with you along the way.
So listen, if we freaked you out by this point, I'll make it a little bit easier for you, okay? If you've never done this before, it doesn't need to be super complex. We have one of our clients right now who's retained us for a year. So they've committed to 52 weeks of working with us, 2 hours every single week, which is a lot for them. We're starting from the beginning with them. And when we start at the beginning, we start with a business plan, right? And that's your mission first. And what I am having this client do right now is create their business plan, but it is a one-page business plan. Okay. This person has never done this before. I can't have them go through the complexities that I'm used to after 23 years of doing this over and over. It's a simple one-page business plan. He'll literally be able to put it on his desk every day and in one shot look down and see the entire plan for his entire year of what he has to do. So this doesn't need to be super complex, but it needs to be well thought out. It has to have the intention. It has to have clarity in what you're actually going to do every single day. And then you really just need the grit to go out and take that action each and every day, understanding that, if I keep doing this, and we talk about aggressive patience, if I keep doing this, that result will come to fruition, right? It won't magically happen. But if you're just randomly taking actions, you might have some success. You might have some failure, but it won't be up to you. This business plan allows you, whether it's complex or a one-page business plan, allows you to say, if I do these things, this is what should happen. Okay. So you're going out there with intention, achieving the things that you would like to do for yourself, your family, and your clients. So I hope today was an interesting episode for you to listen to. I know it's been a great experience for Tom and I to do this together, and he is a newer business partner of mine. So it's been brand new for me as well, because you have a different thought process, different methodology of looking at things, which has been really great. So I would tell you, if you do have a partner, or maybe you want to talk to your mentor about this, it's really good to have some outside perspective or a new perspective on this, because it's opened my eyes up to new ways of thinking about doing things. And I think that so far has led to us making the decision to take actions in different ways. So just realize that there is a lot of valuable things that can be accomplished when you get a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fun experience. Like I said, it's painful, but you know what? Anything that's worth doing well is going to require a little bit of pain, a little bit of struggle, and it really is going to lead to this awesome experience and this great senses of accomplishment in the future. And I know it's going to be worth the effort and the grit. It's all about grit at this point, right? Right now we're gritting away. It's a gritty process, and you just gotta keep persevering and getting through it. And we're getting closer to the end of it. We're working on a lot of parts today and tomorrow, and there'll be a lot of stuff that we have accomplished in a very short time. And I think it's a great success that we've already set ourselves up for, because we've been so clear about what we want to do. And again, we have struggled. It's not been an easy process, but it's well worth it. And we encourage you to do it.
So listen, our mission here, what we're really trying to accomplish is to help all of you who are listening, all of you who are clients of ours, all of you who've read our books, listened to any of our Instagram reels or anything else. If you're engaging with us in any way, shape, or form, we're here to help you to 10x your business and work less while doing it. So we hope that this has helped you to do that. If you have any other additional questions, feel free to go to our website. You can connect with us there. Go to our Instagram page. That's usually the quickest way through Instagram direct messages, and reach out to us. We're more than happy to answer some questions, give you some feedback, and we'll let you know some really unique things that'll be coming out, hopefully in the next month or so, about a community we're going to offer that's going to be all centered around how to 10x and work less. So thanks again for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.